Did he break his leg now?
Yeah,
I just heard.
totally separate from the other.
Fractured the fibulas.
Is it the same leg?
I believe it's the same leg, yeah.
Who's that?
That's the small one, right?
Eighth grade.
The eighth grade. Yeah, the small bone in your leg, the lower leg.
So do we,
Yeah.
Think we'll go to Boyd on next Monday?
I don't know. I don't know if everybody gets healed up or not.
Oh, yeah.
okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I have some additions I'd like to add.
Okay.
I'd like to add, discuss our drug testing policy a little bit. Our teacher licenses, the email Mr. Nickel sent out. And then I'd also like to discuss, football programs.
Teacher licensing.
Yeah. I guess that's what I'll call it.
Anything else?
I got nothing.
Okay. Consent agenda, so if they have any questions about
A question on the bills, a couple of, the first one was the garnishments.
One was Clark and one was, what was the other one?
Johnson.
Johnson.
Or,
Where they're sent,
I see.
for the vendors.
Okay.
Is that just wait for the picture?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where they're saying Johnson's and Kinder.
any other questions.
I had one on Rotary International. Page 4.
I think it's canceled. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, yes.
Rotary International, those are the dues and meals to Rotary Club down there.
Okay.
Represent the board on that club,
What's that?
represent the board on that club, Rotary.
I see. Okay. I guess that's all.
Anything else? Anybody else have anything, any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Been moved. Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor? Communications, Joni wants to give us an update on, the curriculum.
I went to the curriculum leadership meeting at Topeka on last Friday, so I just thought I'd kind of let you know real quick.
No.
No, personal.
Thank you.
These better cards.
Carl gave me two pieces. Did you want some?
Should I give you one? Well, they, it was a, you know, it was just like a 5-hour thing that, they started out with, Corbin Wynn gave us a general history of the federal involvement in the public school curriculum, just to let us know that, Obama didn't come into office until a year after No Child Left Behind. Anyway, no, I was just joking, but that's what he said. Anyway, and then, Obama actually did bump it up with Race to the Top in 2009, and then we had the Common Core state standards, recommended, and I think 40-some states are going with those. But our standards are called Kansas College and Career Readiness Standards, which are very similar to the Common Core standards, but that's just for what it's worth. And then Dale Dennis talked a couple minutes about school finance, and he talked about the court case that was heard last Tuesday, which is about school funding, which, was that 2005? When they had the previous case about requiring the state to fund, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, he just mentioned that, and he also said that, regarding the government shutdown, Kansas schools are okay through the rest of October and part of November. I guess he means the federal funds, like the federal school lunch program, et cetera. But, anyway, the, big thing that they spent the day on was teacher evaluation. And coming up now is teachers are to be evaluated partly on assessment results and student growth. Right now, we're in a transitional phase. We begin in 2014-15, putting that into place. But test data will not be used to inform personnel decisions until 2016 and 17. And then, even then, we'll probably be looking at, hopefully, the boards will want to look at longitudinal data. In other words, a decision wouldn't be based on one set of state assessments. And because of the scheduling of state assessments, you wouldn't want to be tied to the state assessment schedule, because there are other factors that would come in. So, I mean, you wouldn't evaluate a teacher on February after they gave a test in January. You're going to be looking at a longer picture, maybe a year or so. I mean, it's up to the discretion of the districts, of course, but that's the kind of thing they're saying. And we have flexibility. We've got a waiver as far as the way we implement our teacher evaluation. We have the right to decide what weight testing will have. Like you might evaluate a teacher based on the weight of state assessments, for example, might be 30 to 40% of the total evaluation. Again, that's up to discretion of the districts, but that's what they're saying. And then we would have the freedom to use personal judgment. But he did mention a couple of evaluation tools, and the CREL is one of them, and that's the one we're using. And I don't know how familiar you are with that, or how much it's been talked about. But on the back of here, I was just trying to give you a quick idea of what one of these things looks like, where it says Standard 1, teachers demonstrate leadership. And then under there you see the kinds of things they're talking about. Provides evidence of data-driven instruction, and evaluates student progress using a variety of assessment data, etc. And there's one there about preparing students for life in the 21st century. There are 5 standards in the CREL, and then under each standard there are, like on Standard 1 there's A, B, C, D, E, and then Standard 2 has A, B, C, D, E. And so there are all these things, a whole list of things that teachers and their evaluators can choose from, and say a teacher might focus on Standard 1 Part C and Standard 4 Part E, if those are the 2 weak areas or the 2 places they want to show improvement. And as an example here, I just picked Standard 1A, and for example, it asks one box that's not checked, that would be something I would want to work on. Communicates to students the vision of being prepared for life in the 21st century. And I might do something with Kansas Pipeline there, or various other things. The thing that makes McCrell neat, then, is whatever you're working on, there's a place in there to go and list the things you're doing. And you can actually, I'm using Quizlet Online, you can actually click right on that site and bring it up and look at what it is and look what my lesson plans are in there. Or you know, anything. I can put my lesson plans on there, I can put anything that I think will help me improve my teaching, also to validate what I'm doing, to show the things I'm doing to get the results I'm trying to get. And, you know, that, you may see that reflected in state assessment scores or not, but there may be some explanation in there too. I can put, the number of students I had that year, and maybe the 5 of them moved in the middle of the year, and that might go a ways toward explaining why I had some low scores. That it's set up so that a teacher can basically make a case for herself as far as evaluation, but of course, more important is it's a way to get a whole picture of what you're doing. I mean, it helps me plan for what I want to do. It helps me see where is this technology going to play a part, and then what am I doing over here specifically to prepare for state assessments. And then, of course, in pink there you see I can put my state assessment results in there. I can put them for the last 5 years or whatever I want to do. And, you know, Mr. Hickle has been hammering home to us on, what's the name of our committee?
Steering committee.
Steering committee, thank you. At steering committee, how, you know, we need a long-term plan, and it all needs to dovetail. And so far, he steered us in the right direction, because we have this evaluation system in place, which is gonna go along with what the state wants to do. The in-service, the last 2 in-services we've had have been McCrell and classroom instruction that works. In other words, specific strategies and things you can do to achieve the assessment results, and also it goes along with the way McCrell is set up. You know, if you choose a specific strategy that we learned at in-service and you have a book, then you can put it in here to show. And I don't know if that makes sense. But that's basically what I learned on Friday. And then when I came home and I took another look at McCrell, I could see how it is dovetailing. And then I'm thinking, when I come to steering, I'm gonna be saying something like, you know, these are the things they're looking for. Maybe I need specifically to learn how to do a good, valid formative assessment. You know, all the tests I give in my classroom, vocabulary test every Friday, those are formative assessments, supposedly. But do they really, are they really valid ones? You know, do they move me closer to scoring better on the ACT or the state assessments, or, oh, anyway, that's that. And then I wanted to talk about the tests.
Like on the front page?
Yeah. Maybe not, maybe I didn't write anything there, but I was really interested to hear that they want to do tests this year for, they're still developing the new state assessments, so they want people to take the trial assessments to help set up with that. And the technology people, the CTE, the vocational ed, CTE test, they're looking right now at a 2.5-hour test, sit down, all in one sitting. And then the actual assessments that we'll give next semester. And so there's some discussion about if kids already have a banked score with the state assessments, they might not have to double test, or if they're taking that, especially if they take that vocational test. And then I just stuck on here because I like it. I don't know if any of you have been on Kansas Pipeline yet, but that's another thing that Mr. Hickle got us involved in 2 or 3 years ago. And that is where kids go on a test and see what their aptitudes are and see what their interests are. And then there are a lot of different things they can do. One of the things is there's a link on Kansas Pipeline to the Occupational Outlook Handbook. And I brought up, I mean, there are like 10,000 occupations on that site. And it's a government Bureau of Labor Statistics site. And anyway, I brought up zoologist because I have a girl who thinks she wants to be a zoologist. And these are all the things that you can learn about that job here. I mean, if you look on the back of the sheet, every single link on that page, if you click on it, it will go into a lot more detail of what the job involves. It'll tell you what you need for education. So if you have slept through biology for a couple of years, you probably aren't going to be a very good zoologist. And I don't think she understands that. So, I mean, this is what we're talking about, 21st century. And so that's something else that could go into McCrell to show that you could do specific lessons related to Kansas Pipeline. And that's it. I just wanna let you know what they were talking about down there and how it may all tie in.
Any questions for Jimmy?
Formula one, you can tell.
It's,
Thanks, Joni.
You're welcome.
Okay,
The triple
Yeah.
again.
anything else on communications?
No, that's right.
Nicole?
I couldn't get into it. I don't know, I don't have a fancy presentation or anything, I just wanted
We
to,
can't have that.
I don't know, I just wanted to be available. I think Mr. Hickle sent out a letter with your agenda, and so I just wanted to be here to answer any questions, if you had any, just to make sure that there wasn't any misconceptions that the school district would be paying for the trip to Puerto Rico or anything, or if you had concerns about safety or what we'd be doing. I think I tried to put it all in there, so I'm just basically here to make sure you all feel comfortable with it, and I only have a group of 6 right now, so we're not a very big group.
Nicole, do they combine schools together or groups together?
Yeah, if you have a big enough group, then you can do your own, but usually all my groups have been small enough that we've been paired with another school. I think one was from like Phoenix or Texas, and then I've been paired with Colorado groups, and so usually just whatever is enough to make a bus load full to go through.
So you've been on this particular trip?
I've never been on this trip before. I've been with this company before.
Okay.
And actually, I've been on the EF tours, which is the international version, and this is the domestic version, so I've never done this specific. It's just, they're the same company, just a different title, I guess. Mhm.
But students aren't allowed just to go off on their own at any time during the trip, are they?
No, we have a set agenda of things that, we have a tour director with us 24 hours a day that have everything planned out for us, so we just have to show up. They tell us when to meet, and we get on the bus, and we always go together. So the most time that they would ever have is if we had, like, in a shopping area, and like, you have an hour, so go eat lunch, and if you have time, you can go into these stores right here. But that's the biggest amount of time that you would ever have on your own to do what you would want to.
Do you take any sponsors with you, or parents, or?
Yes, actually, usually it's one for every 6 kids, but I have a couple parents right now. I have Mrs. Berlin going, and with Hannah, so for 6 of us going, we'll have a couple parents.
It's a good opportunity.
Yeah, too.
But I'm excited. I mean, this is great. We look at pictures of Puerto Rico and places you can travel and things, and so until you can actually get it and see it and try to use what we've been learning, and they're always like, oh, they speak too fast if I can never hear them. I'm like, well, that's the whole point, is trying to be able to use it in a real life situation. So I mean, it's always fun for them to try to say, yes, I did it. I ordered in Spanish and I got this. And even if they speak English, it's always great for them to try first in Spanish, and then most of the time they can tell that you don't speak Spanish natively, and they'll switch to English for you, but it's always fun to try.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Nicole.
thank you.
Transportation?
I really don't have anything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Just telling Mr. Hickle that Shelley bought a house in Orland and she'll
Big bus one.
take the bus home every night.
okay, good. Buildings, principals report? Let's go for,
Go ahead,
All right. Don't mind if I do. Yesterday, we hosted the District Greenham Conference, and Kendall Bourne was first place finisher in the creed speaking. Parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for next Monday, the 21st, and Tuesday, the 22nd. On Monday, we currently have a JV football game scheduled at Beloit, and C-team volleyball will be playing here. And then on Tuesday of parent-teacher conferences, we have home volleyball, and that is senior night. We are hosting the FCCLA District Conference next Wednesday, the 23rd. And so there'll be a lot of schools in town again on that day. We have been chosen to host this year's sub-state volleyball tournament, and that will be Saturday, October 26th. Regional cross country is also Saturday, October 26th, and that is in Belleville. They run at 2. I believe the girls' race is at 2 o'clock, and the boys is, after that, I think, scheduled for 2:30. Volleyball tournament will start at 1 here. And then the National FFA Convention in Louisville is the week of October 28th through November 1st. So, got a few things going on this month, hosting a few things, and then having some kids going to some things, so be another busy month. That's all I have.
Not a lot to report at the grade school. Things seem to be going along pretty well. We'll be sending kids to the art council program. I think they're doing 3 different shows tomorrow. Book fair is coming up Monday and Tuesday, so that'll be a busy couple of 3 days in there. And other than that, everything's going well.
I didn't go last, because that was homecoming, until I didn't go last month.
Hey Alan, can I ask you a question on
Yes.
the sub-state volleyball? Do we have concession stands for that?
I hope so. If a group signs up for them, we'll have them. I know we didn't have any Saturday,
That's what I got.
because nobody signed up for them, to help run the tournament, so she didn't want to open one at the high school and just not have one down here, so. It's hard
Is
to-
that,
Christy Foster?
Christy, yeah,
Yeah,
she
she's in
take care of
charge
all
of it,
that.
yeah. She tries to solicit groups to come help and work and run the 2 area, or the 2 concessions, but she had everybody sign up for Saturday. But it sounded like there was somebody calling today inquiring about it, so, I mean, we've opened it up to organizations in the community as well, so, because not all the school activities and school clubs and stuff like that.
How many teams will be there?
8, well, 7 plus us, so hopefully we don't just exit early, but there'll be 7 other schools. It's Oberlin, Atwood, Trigo Ellis, Smith Center, Ness City, and Plainville, I believe.
Superintendent's.
Passed out a little flyer on the legislative luncheon in Salina on November 14th, I think. Anybody that's interested in going, you're sure welcome to attend. They usually have, 4 or 5 legislators there that talk a little bit about their expectations for the next legislative session, and then we'll field questions from the audience. So if you're interested in going, let Nancy know so we can get you registered and make transportation arrangements.
Okay. No other reports, Greg Daniels' resignation as the junior high AD. We would need a motion to approve that. Is there any discussion about that?
Has he talked to you about it? And are you just gonna take over then, the entire role of everything, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, his comment, and he states it right there in the letter without, just having kids, but he said that he would still be willing to help out with some stuff if needed, supervision of stuff, because he said he knows that he'll be at some of that stuff. He just doesn't want to be tied down to things that,
Sure.
like I said, if he has, Ethan playing one place, or if he has Gabe playing someplace, or vice, and then the youngest one, he wants to be able to pick and choose, and I can understand that,
Absolutely.
so.
No, I just didn't know how we were gonna handle it. And I didn't read, maybe I didn't read it thoroughly enough, but when it was effective immediately, or?
Yeah,
Yes, immediately.
yeah, that's what he was hoping, that's what he's wanting.
Has he been paid. I talked to Carl a little bit about this. How does the pay work? Is it,
You've been paid 1 month.
it's on a monthly?
It's split out over the 12 months. Yeah.
Okay, that's, I didn't know if it was a one-time or every semester.
We'd probably have to look at prorating it for the amount of time he's done it.
So, Mr. Stein, you're just gonna assume all the roles, and is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And you're okay with that, or?
Mhm.
Okay.
We need to make a motion for that or anything?
We have to accept his resignation.
I mean, to transfer it.
Oh,
Can you do that on one motion?
well, right now he's listed as co-AD, so I assume we need to make him AD.
I'll move to accept Greg Hamel's resignation as junior high athletic director.
Second, moved and seconded, all in favor?
I'll make a motion to shift duties to Mr. Stein to cover the lack of a co-athletic director.
It's been moved and made Mr. Stein full AD.
That's better, so.
All in favor? Okay.
I guess I didn't ask if there's anybody else that wanted it. I don't think there was last time, was there?
No.
No. I didn't think so.
Okay, section 125 provider. American Fidelity Insurance Company.
American Fidelity's been our provider for many, many years, and I would recommend that we continue with their services.
The section 125 is our lot bond.
That's our 403B plan. They administer that as well as the health insurance to some
Cancer.
degree. All the insurances that we have available for staff. And like the medical reimbursement plan that you can apply for.
This is like the cafeteria plan.
Yeah, the cafeteria
Yeah.
plan.
Will Obamacare affect that?
They're on it. There might be some effect to it, but with the insurance that we have, I don't think we're probably gonna see that much of a change. Since we provide pretty good insurance. There might be, like we got down to the nitty gritty, because there's still some questions, but there might be one or two other employees will have to provide insurance too, based on the number of hours per year they work.
And we need a motion to renew our contract with them, or?
Yes.
Yes, I'll make a motion to renew
It's been moved
patronage to American Fidelity.
and second, all in favor? Okay, KSB State Conference, I think we do have, how many do we have?
You still want-
I'm so glad I decided.
There's still, so there's four.
Or Mr. Bickle.
Full billing.
Did Janet say whether she was gonna go or
No,
not?
she called.
Okay,
She
good.
talked to you.
Okay.
Where did you plan on going on the 6th,
That's,
Friday?
I was
Yeah.
gonna drive down Friday night after work, but not.
Oh, we're going Thursday
Yeah.
night?
Attend the conference
Yeah.
on the 6th.
We'll be there.
Okay,
We're going Friday.
You two are.
okay.
So do we need to have any other discussion?
We, I assume Carl will be our
Yes.
voting representative.
The voting men will be.
Well, I moved,
I
I like
nominate
Carl,
Carl.
yeah.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
I think we discussed it.
No, I don't know, I'll be there, so I don't know. Seconded, all in favor? Yes, I don't know why you vote for that. Okay, do we wanna break, take a short break before the strategic planning thing, or
Before what?
before the strategic planning discussion?
Well, did anybody have any questions over the legislative proposals, positions? This is the information that they'll be discussing at the convention that the delegates will vote on.
That's what, Carl, you better know what you're gonna vote on.
Yeah, well, when we went to Osborne, they,
Oh,
gave us a kind of an update on that, and, it honestly sounds to me like the schools really don't want any change. Is that what you kind of took out of that? I mean, as far as on the negotiations and,
Yeah, there's a survey in there that was sent out by KASB we were supposed to respond to, and I haven't responded to it because I wanted to talk with the board briefly about it. But one of the things last year that was brought up was dealing with professional negotiations, and there was a bill at one time that basically eliminated pretty much all of negotiations. And, of course, it didn't pass because it kind of came out of nowhere. But KSB has had on their list of priorities for several years that professional negotiations, they would try and limit that to be more in the board's favor. And the question that they're asking is that a priority for the local boards that you feel they need to follow through with that? Because it will come up again this year, I'm pretty sure. And then along with that, the due process procedure as far as tenure will probably be discussed. And their position has been for many years, and you know, a lot of times it never comes up, has been that, you know, teacher tenure is not in the best interest of the local boards and students, because, you know, they get comfortable and then it's kind of all over. So those are the two things that we're supposed to respond to, whether local boards feel like that that's a high priority at this time, or whether it is something that they shouldn't pursue this year. So that'll be a big one. And then there's some others that, you know, they're working on year in, year out, as far as finance and all those kinds of things to get the legislature to finance education. So those are all listed in there. But they would like to have this survey returned, so they kind of know where they stand on that, whether that's something they want to try and legislate, or not legislate, push this year, or, and like Carl said, it was kind of the general feeling at that meeting that that wasn't a real high priority for a lot of the boards.
you know, their thought is, we've got a good relationship now, negotiations are going well, you know, why disturb that?
well,
You know,
obviously implementing a new teacher evaluation, so that's gonna hopefully police them up a little bit. If you would have a teacher that you may wanna have an issue with, I mean, to try and throw anything else at teachers, I think would just be, you know, as far as tenure thing, that, you know, going there, right?
Would that be almost impossible
What?
to do away with tenure?
Not if it was voted in,
Voted in.
Well, yeah, I guess the legislature.
if they voted it in.
Probably the ones that were tenured now would probably stay tenured, right?
Grandfather,
Yeah, and any new
I don't know,
applicant.
I don't know, they
Depends
didn't
on how
talk,
they write the bill.
yeah, you know, you hear that a lot, you know, that issue, but
I don't know how you decide if it's a priority or not without hearing what the other issues they're gonna bring up are. I mean,
Well, this
is
would
it
be
a priority in relation to what other?
well, I mean, the money thing's always
I
a
guess a
priority.
priority in your thoughts is what I'm, not necessarily priority in all these topics that they are going to talk about. But, you know, their deal was, last year, it got brought up by the legislature, and they supported it, and then they got hammered by the education field. What are you trying to do, you know, that kind of thing. And what they're saying is so long as this is a on their list of things that they wanna push, they're gonna follow what the membership wants. And I can't remember how many years they said that's been on there,
Been
20
on
years.
there for,
And, you know, there was a time there where it was kind of a battle at negotiations. And with the Professional Negotiations Act, the idea would be to reduce the number of topics that are mandatorily negotiable than what we have now. Kind of go back to what it used to be. But, you know, I think the general feeling from those that were there was that this isn't probably something we want to try and push right now.
they're just kinda wanna know whether they need to take it off of their,
List.
off
Or
their
move it to
list.
the
Either
bottom
it's either a
or
priority or
right
it's
at the
not,
top.
and if it's not, they're gonna move on. If it is, then they're gonna just pursue it, but my honest opinion is I don't think they're gonna get much support. I really don't, particularly with the group that was there. So, what's, anybody got any thoughts on that, individual thoughts?
If it's not broken, it's not a. Leave it alone.
Well,
There's
we
more
have an
important
issue
things
with
that need to be
it.
addressed.
Yeah. I would agree, and I think that seemed like that was everybody there's thought, so. Do you feel, how do you do this survey or?
I can do it, I'll probably just mark that it's not a priority
Yeah,
on each of those.
I would think that
Send
would
it.
be our
I agree.
sentiments.
Is there gonna be anything come out of this funding lawsuit that they,
Well, depends on the decision, and then they'll probably want to change the Constitution again, I don't know. It's hard to say. But, you know, just
so
like
are they
last
done
time-
with their argument now with?
Yeah, they're supposed to have a decision around the first of the year. And we'll go from there, so.
It is kinda interesting, I don't know if you get a chance, or if you read this, what is the current mandatory negotiable items, how many there are, and it's, I think that was one of the things that they pointed out, and I guess I didn't realize it was that long, but it is quite lengthy. And what, another idea was to simplify that. Okay, any other thing on the legislative positions?
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, should we take a quick break? My stomach's growling.
Carl's the one that's the issue, so you're the president, that's why you get to hate it.
Alright, let's take a quick break and then we'll get into the strategic planning discussion. Did this go around?
Yes.
Keep that in for our archive? Okay.
Eric, there's plenty of feedback there.
Is the book really that good? Of course, it'd have to be better than listening to that.
coming up good, Bob.
Yep. And by Brandon.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it.
Wait for noodles.
Back there.
Football field looks good too, especially when you travel around and look at the other
Oh,
fields.
yeah. Quinters?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Stockton's.
Well, part, Quinters has Bermuda and I don't know what all on it. Part of
Stockton's
it's
is unbelievable, man. That's why they thought he couldn't have broke his leg. It was just the field was so bad.
They said something about, just before they had homecoming or something, somebody drove out across it or something, made tracks all over it. Somebody went in there with a tiller or something, tried to smooth it back up and just destroyed it.
You talking about Stockton? I heard that too.
But ours looks pretty rough compared to what it did. You can see, it's had a lot of wear and
I was
tear.
gonna say, there's a lot of cleats go across that in a year. Or, not a
Well,
year.
there's
2
been
months.
a couple of weeks where there was 5 games on a week between, the little kids and, the junior high and high
JV
school and
and-
JV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My kids don't weigh enough to tear it up too much. Well, Connor'd be okay.
I was watching the kids on the sideline Saturday night down there at Waukegan with no pads on, and they were playing tackle football in the stickers.
That was my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Those are rowdies.
Oh, I remember when
Well, Connor was there too. I took Connor
Yeah.
with us that night.
Yeah.
Casey Patterson, when he used to play, he'd stand in one corner of the team box and just stand there and go like this. And by the end of the season, there was a hole about that. I filled it every year he played.
I was surprised.
What were you doing, Joaquin?
I got to take this.
Oh, watching.
What's your boy?
Brett and Michelle's throwing cheers, right?
Mm-hmm. She does, and Bruce is
I was just asking to see if
Colt
they wanted to try and.
plays
Oh, that's
Roseanne's.
right, that's right.
Oh, yeah, I would assume. I think we're going down on Thursday.
I'm more interested in watching football than the girls are here. I'm just.
Yeah.
They do a good job. I mean, they're
Yes, they
loud.
do. They do, yes, I just am.
In the homecoming parade, I thought they were excellent.
Mhm.
You
They
know,
were
walking
cute.
along there cheering.
Mhm.
Carry go get 6.
It's funny to watch them.
Did you hear me lose my cool with the kids on the sidelines? Some of the players messing around during the game.
Well, I heard you yell, but I didn't know what it was for.
One in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go sit on the track.
Well, there was some kid on the track, and it was probably the same one, that was walking along on his knees, and they wanted to see if he tore holes in his pants. And I didn't know if you made him sit over there, or if he chose to just go over there.
I sent the first one over there, and then after Blake saw what I was doing to get rid of him, then Blake started sending a couple over there.
You got a lot out there.
37 started, I'm not sure. I think there's only 35 there. Saturday night. That's a lot.
And we have enough pads and everything for all of them?
We didn't, we had to buy those. That's 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Did you get it figured out where the fourth graders are able to play some and you've done that?
Yeah, we did, before the games, we had just the 4th graders, had a few 5th graders that didn't even play much in a real game. We did a couple series each way with them. And then we were trying to get a JV game scheduled with Quinter, but I don't know when we're gonna do it.
I think that'd be a good way to introduce them fourth graders without throwing them to the wolves, I
Yeah.
mean, really.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big difference for the
Huge.
sixth.
I know Greg played in fourth grade and then he would not play in fifth grade because he got beat up so bad in
Right.
fourth grade.
Yeah.
Well, then in sixth grade, he was so much bigger than everybody else, he loved it. Okay, now remember.
Yeah. We try to pay real close attention to when tackling drills and stuff, who's going against who,
Yeah.
try to have two groups.
Don't let them count in line so they can line up.
Yeah, stagger back.
Yeah, you got the big kids going, well, I want that one.
But then when you start scrimmaging, it's kind of anybody's game.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of them, that adds some day, you can put a wallop on somebody. We don't have enough blue practice crews, so we were doing, I think it was kickoff or kick return, and one of his own teammates, whatever side he was on, was just kind of standing around watching the play, and he went out and smoked it. I mean, right, helmet right under the chin, lifted his feet up off the ground, flat on his back. And it was, Logan Smith, big kid. Man, I didn't know if he was gonna wake up. I felt bad. I know he missed the next day of school because of that.
I'm gonna be better now.
Like that Snickers commercial.
That's what I was just thinking.
You got the Joe Pesci sitting up there now. Carl's back.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you say Plainville's in your league? No, they're 11 man, aren't they?
The little kids, my third grade team, has played girls every, but the kids don't.
So which flag go to, what age groups are not?
First and second play together, and then third is by themselves. Carl coached first and second, I coached third.
I think the ones that were having the most fun were the kids on the sidelines without any adult. They were,
Yep.
they could play by their own rules and they didn't have any referees and they didn't. You just gotta be kids.
That third grade class is good.
There's a lot of boys in that class. I was kinda surprised.
We went 7-1. The third grader did in 1 week.
That's awesome.
Well, you definitely are teaching the federal aid kids about football. I mean, they're learning.
It's amazing how many fourth graders come in and just don't know. I mean, the basic stuff, but who's on offense, who's on defense?
They don't even understand offense or defense, but all they can see is the shoulder pads and I'm gonna look cool. I mean, and then when they actually get into it, it becomes different.
It's fun. I really enjoy it.
That's one of the biggest benefits of, starting
Ground you're pretty
little,
good.
first, second, third, just teaching the basics, so they know what the heck's going on out there. And then you can teach them a little bit more beyond that, but.
blocking and tackling.
Well, how's it mean?
Better.
Yeah, we can't do it without the tackler number.
The flag, no,
But
you have to-
a lot of them still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
Ellis
gonna get
is
hold
getting
the flag
pretty mad
if they
about
don't
that on
around.
Saturday.
Who was?
Ellis.
Oh,
I
really?
guess there were some kids tackling and the refs didn't see it, but I didn't see it either, but they were complaining about it. I was right there.
It happens every week. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's
hard for me.
I taught all
It's
my
hard
kids
for
to
them
get
to
in front
know
of them
not
and
to-
slow them down,
Yeah.
and then grab the flag, don't let them go by it.
Yep, because they miss it when they try to do that.
So I teach them, get in front, if they run you over, they run you over. If you were there first.
Well, it's a lot easier to tackle them than it is to grab that flag.
Yeah, it's hard to grab the flag.
Especially if you're moving out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Ellis coach the other day, he was, told that one ref, he said, the $10 they paid you today was way too much. Heck, high school kids can't trust him.
Yeah, I know, they're all high school kids.
I know, I feel so bad for those refs, because they are high school kids, and just like, they're
But at the same time, they do have rules and they ought to be making.
out of all.
Force them over.
All right, are we ready to carry on to the strategic planning discussion? I have one question on that. How many do we have with the board and the groups that are ideally gonna be there? What did we decide? We counted that up, but I'm not.
About 17 or 18, I think, but not everybody is committed yet.
Right.
What groups are we talking about?
I haven't discussed it with the grade school group yet.
Site councils, the board, all administration. And,
Well, if all those come, I guess that'd be 19 to start with.
and he's saying that around that 30 number, so, that leaves 10.
Jim, were you thinking,
At large bids?
were you thinking steering committee?
Oh, no, I didn't think of steering committee, but they should be there probably.
Yeah, that'd be representatives from grade school
Building,
through
Yeah, that'd be.
middle school and high school.
How many?
6 or 8,
Yeah, I think,
I don't know.
I think.
We're pretty
that-
close to
Spaced
there.
that out.
Well, the people on, some of those people that serve on those are community. I mean, not.
A lot of repeats.
Yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily employed by the school, right, on some of those. Is that right? Or they all?
Right. Well, Chris Petty's on ours, site council, so.
Okay, so he'd be,
Be one last,
We double up on some, in some of those instances.
and I don't know how many from the steering committee would be
I wasn't here last month when he was
available.
talking about it. 'Cause the last time I knew, we were talking about, like, the first meeting would be a public meeting. But that was 2 months ago, so.
Not entirely public, I don't think, it was kind of an
It's
invitation.
open to the public,
Was it?
but it'll be informational more than anything, and then talk about priorities, and then probably split up into some groups the second time and come up with some strategies or goals, things like that.
but we need to come up with some community members to be asked to be involved in this. And we need to find those, however we decide to do that, which Mr. Trickle and I talked a little bit about that, and there's a lot of ways to look at that. We just each go out and find 2. If we do that though, you and I may have the same, I don't know how we wanna organize trying to get the best group.
To
And I
represent,
think it's important that we put some thought into that. I don't, I think, who do we want on that?
You went through the civic organizations. I mean,
Well, we,
Lions Club,
yeah,
PTO.
we didn't talk specifics, we was just talking about the how do we wanna do it?
Oh, I mean, were those
Oh.
included in your 18 or 19?
No.
No,
No.
no. The hospital administrator, I mean, those,
She's not good.
those. We won't hold our last meeting against you. So, do you have any more thought on that, Mr. Hickle, I guess, as far as how we wanna do
I
that?
think the board wants to try and pick some people in the community that would have been active in school or may have kids, may have had kids graduated, just community members that, you know, are supportive and want to see the school district grow and prosper.
I guess I'd
Some
like
of the
to
leaders.
kinda talk about it amongst ourselves, at some point to names and, I don't know, can we do that? How would we?
Hey, you can talk about
Can we do that in
people
executive
you'd
session?
like to invite, no. Or positions you'd like to see there, I mean, you know, like,
What about like the elected leaders of our county that are sitting, should that be?
The county commissioners?
Yeah. People that,
that would probably be good to have at least one representative, I don't know.
City
if you'd
council.
wanna have.
City administrator, city council, I mean, you know, those would all be options. Could we do a committee to put the list together?
Yeah.
Would you guys wanna do a committee that would wanna put the list together, or do you wanna?
at least put a list of possibilities together and then we can go over
Yeah.
that list and.
I would do that. I'll help.
Well, we're not talking, we're gonna have to have another meeting, cause we're talking, it's coming up here in November.
Well, this wouldn't be something we'd have to vote on if we just
No, I
got a
know, but we
consensus
need
that,
to-
hey, here's the group that we think, and let's invite them. I mean, that's really all we gotta.
Not everybody might come and invite, so we might have to do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I mean, I think our
Yeah.
list would wanna be bigger than the 10 or, you know, maybe we'll prioritize. I mean, there's gonna be some you'd want more than others, obviously, I think, but.
Maybe some you don't want at
It
all.
wouldn't hurt if there were more than 32. I mean, you
Right.
probably wouldn't have 50, but, you know,
Yeah, they're not gonna
35 or
complain if we got
36 and.
35 show up, I don't think.
I like that idea. I like
Okay.
the small committee.
I mean, I'd serve on there. Anybody else wanna, Tommy and
I
Kathy?
can, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go with Tommy, Kathy, and Carl. And then, we can get the list to, Mr. Hickle, and then you could maybe call, well, I mean, I can call them, but I meant as far as getting
To the rest of them, so we know who
the
they're.
rest of the board okay with it, or,
The committee, you're given, you're having a committee just to have a selection list,
You trust us?
I
whoever
vote
we are.
doing, what move that the committee do it.
To give us the authority. or
I'll
to
make a
give us-
motion that the committee picks or comes up with 30 to 40 names, and
okay,
we'll go with that.
okay, it's been moved,
He seconded.
I
He moved and
can't,
she
I'm not gonna
seconded.
second because I'm on the committee.
okay, all in favor? Susan. Okay, so that's what we'll do, we'll get together on when we can meet and get a list. Okay, it's still set for the 18th and 20th?
Yes, did you want to talk about maybe the 20th? Because Mr. Stein has a
Yeah,
vacation meeting, right? Executive
Yeah.
committee meeting?
Yeah, I'll be gone 19th to the 21st for a safety meeting.
my thought is I would like the administration to be there. I would like to try to, I mean, my opinion is I'd like to try to find another date. I don't know what you guys think of that,
I'd like to keep them as close together as possible too.
No, so we didn't go off track, yeah.
So,
but did,
Now,
Friday,
I'm sorry, will KSB be here both days?
yes.
Yes.
So,
That'll be Gary Secret.
do you happen to know what their dates are available?
No, I haven't emailed him. I thought I would email him after tonight, but on our calendar, Friday the 22nd, there isn't anything going on, is there? And Tuesday the 26th is open as well,
when's
so,
Thanksgiving?
well.
That'd be the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week.
What's going on? 22nd?
the 22nd?
Yeah.
They have
Friday?
okayed the 18th though, I mean, they okayed these
Yeah,
dates,
he's
but
good
then
on
we're
both of
gonna
those dates.
move the one to.
So what I would probably do is if the board is okay with it, I'll just check with him if you wanna move it and say, are you available? And if he's not, then we'll just probably have to leave it on the 20th.
Okay.
Can we have available those two dates though, the Tuesday and the Friday?
That's what you want.
Or are you got problem, somebody have issues?
No, that's a Tuesday, the 26th.
Cause
There's
nothing,
no school Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
I know, but they're not, the junior high's not playing,
They play Monday, not that week.
okay. They're not-
I mean, our preference would be that Friday, but I'm just saying if he can't, then we're gonna have to either come back to the 20th.
Yeah, there's no school Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday,
Right.
so that'd be the Tuesday before.
Tuesday before the break, 2 days
Yeah, that
before
might be-
Thanksgiving.
If people,
People
we
leave.
might be thinking about leaving, but yeah, and
I
other
was
people.
gonna say,
That's my
people
only
might leave
concern
if that's,
Oh, I see
if
what-
it's,
I see
if
what
they're
you're
gonna
saying.
get their,
Okay.
yeah, time
Well,
off to
let's-
go on
Okay.
vacation.
Let's just, yeah, that's a good point.
22nd,
Yeah.
22nd, or leave it the 20th?
So it's a Wednesday or Friday. Right. That's right. Okay. The 18th for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've already nailed that down. Okay. Do you have anything else to add to that discussion? Does anybody have questions, any other questions about the planning session? Okay, additions, the drug testing policy, Stan,
I just had a question on it, in that, it was my recollection that when we decided to do this, we were gonna do this twice a month for the first semester. Is that what you guys remember?
I remember for a short period, and then we were gonna maybe cut back depending on how it went, but I don't remember the specific.
What we've done on that is, with recommendations from the company, they said instead of doing it twice a month with that many kids, because our odds of repeating kids in the same month was greater, so they told us, they recommended that we do the 20 kids that we were gonna do twice a month, do them all at one time. So that way, we wouldn't be doubling up in a month. The same kid wouldn't get tested in the same month twice. So we're still doing 20 kids, 21 kids, but it's just all at one time instead of twice in the same month.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
So, because I mean, like you said, it was right, we were gonna do two junior high kids and 8 high school
Right.
kids
Yeah.
at 2 different times a month. What we've done is we combined that, so we just do one pool of 20 kids. 4 junior high kids and the rest are high school, 16 high school kids.
Okay. All right,
So that's how we're doing that now.
that makes sense to me, I guess.
Does it make it any cheaper since they don't have to come here twice?
I don't know if it does or not, but just, I mean, and their recommendation was just so you don't double up on kids, you get more of your student body by doing it the one time, that many kids. So that's, we chose to do that, just say, yeah, we'll go with your recommendation when we fill out the paperwork, so.
And we're gonna continue doing that for how long? Like you said,
We discussed until semester and talk about what,
Backing it off to half of that,
yeah, depending on what could happen.
right. First round went fine, I mean, we didn't have any positive tests, so.
Good.
And we tested 21 kids the first time.
and the process worked good?
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, the gal that came to do the testing, she says, I wish every place I went had a facility set up like we do, because we're using the faculty female bathroom, and it's got 2 doors, so they can go into the restroom area and close the door, and then all that's in there is a toilet and a little trash can on the wall, but she tapes all that stuff closed, tapes the automatic flusher, she tapes that so it doesn't flush on its own, that way she can tell if anything's been tampered with or anything like that. And then she and I are usually standing right out in the main part of the bathroom where the faucet is, and it's got a counter in there, and then all the kids that we have, we call them all at one time, and then we've got 3 rooms back there that they can hang out in and drink lots of water, because some of them couldn't go, so we filled up a Powerade jug, and they just kept drinking water till they had to go. Then pretty soon it's, I gotta go. So then there's a line of people that had to go. But she said it went well. It took us about We got started about 10:30 and we were done before they went to lunch. So it took about an hour and a half to do 21 kids. So got the other middle school kids in so they could go to make their lunch break. And so it worked out good.
So it wasn't that disruptive then?
No.
Okay, any other questions on that?
Are we gonna cut it down
Sandy.
to half then, that
Yeah.
semester? Were we clear on?
We just
Well,
said
we'll
revisit
just-
it.
Yeah,
discuss it.
we can visit it, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, teachers, licensing was the second one.
Yeah,
I'd recommend you go to executive session for non-elected personnel. We're gonna talk about specific teachers.
Okay.
Okay, my only question on that is all public information, so can we do that or not?
When you talk about a specific teacher, you need to go to executive session.
You mean more than what, well, that was mentioned names too.
Yeah, there are names.
Okay, on the firm name and stuff, so. Okay, what's, item 3 was the, football program.
I just had a couple questions, about, we'll start out with, I guess, about the bus, the food on the bus that you had emailed about. Quick question about that. The football teams can't eat on the bus, I take it?
Not until they learn how to clean up their mess.
Mm-hmm.
The volleyball team, you can't tell they're even on the bus when they get off. The cross-country team, they bring granola bars and Gatorade, and, they eat on the way to, whatever they do to get ready to run. And you can't tell they were on the bus. The football team, you can drive from here to Waukee and look like you've been hauling a truckload of trash instead of a football team. It's just terrible. Talk to them, doesn't do any good. So we just cut it out. And explain to them why it was cut out. They just sneak it on the bus then, so. Gary asked them when they went to Atwood, put everything under the bus, no food on the bus. So everybody, okay, they stick everything underneath. And so then they said, can we have drinks? I said, yeah, just so long as they have screw-on lids. That's been our rule for a long time. No McDonald's cups or Casey's cups, you gotta have screw-on lids. So, they got up there to Atwood and he got thinking, well, I didn't put a trash bag out, they probably got empty bottles sitting all over. So he heads to the back of the bus and there's sandwich wrappers and empty Pringles cans and potato chip sacks, crap strewn from one end of the bus to the other, after he asked them not to have it on the bus. We've had this happen before and we shut it off and they figured it out after a while and everything was fine after that. But, it's too bad we have to do this, but, it's just after every time they go someplace, the driver has to, they stay down there and get the mop out and they mop the bus. Pick stuff out of the seats, they can sit right beside a trash can, they'll stuff it in the seat instead of sticking it in the trash cans. The way you take care of it is they just don't have it on the bus. And if they take care of the mess, sure they can eat on the bus. Just, no ice cream. A lot of this stuff is, they, just like ice cream, the reason that we don't let them have that on the bus is if somebody doesn't finish a milkshake or an ice cream cone, they throw it in the trash bag. Well, our trash bags aren't airtight, and that stuff's in one end of the bus the other, so we just don't let them have that on there. And the same way with like McDonald's or Casey's cups, they throw it in there and there's ice that melts in there while it runs all over the bus. So that's the reason they don't get to have that stuff on there. But, screw-on lids, that's no problem. But that's another deal, you got pop cans, same deal. You throw a half can of pop in there, it's all over the bus. Well, there's always somebody sneaking a can of pop on the bus. Or power, or, like power drinks, whatever you call them,
Do the teams patrol the bus after they're done, or the coaches, or?
Everybody else does, but we haven't had much luck having the football team. Now, I asked Gary how it went, last Friday, and all he said was good. He wouldn't elaborate on it, and we were busy, so I didn't get a chance to set him down and ask him for sure, so. So I don't know. He was instructed to not let anybody have anything on the bus on the way to the game the other night. And usually it's on the way to the game, it's not on the way home, because the parents or somebody brings food all the time, and, you know, after the game, they stay there and eat, so. So that's what the whole problem is.
Have the coaches been involved in all this? I mean, have
Gary
they
talked to him.
Yeah, I talked to him.
This has been a problem for years.
This isn't the first year this has happened.
What's the say?
Don't the coaches ride the bus though?
Mm-hmm.
Do they not?
I mean, it
Pick
looks,
up
Supposed to
after
be
the
the last
kids, or-
ones off the bus. But they're not having much luck with that this year. Now, like I said, I don't know what happened Friday night, if one of them stayed on and checked the bus out. Now, there's been a time or two this year where a kid took it upon himself and walked down through the bus and cleaned up. Gary made sure he thanked them.
well, it just doesn't seem to me like it's the bus driver's duty to have to.
Not
Do
supposed
that.
to be.
I agree.
Well, they're in high school. They should be picking up after them.
Well, no, I know, but if you know how that works, if you don't have someone
Yes,
there morning.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, kids are gonna be kids.
And that is one of them deals that I've noticed over the years, not just this year, but, you know, you can have a kid on with a particular sponsor and throw all of his trash on the floor and get off the bus, and then the next sponsor that he's with, I mean, you can't tell he even said it. So that's, has something to do with it too.
So as parents complain about not being able to eat, we send them to the coach?
You can call me. I mean, I got the call from you about the parents that had contacted you, and then I called Bob because I wanted more information before I went and talked to the coaches, and
Right.
because they did come to me and ask me about the eating thing, and I told them what Bob and I talked about and the mess, and that, you know, that it's something they would have to earn back. Because like I said,
Well,
it's,
that's fair enough.
yeah, I mean, so that's, like I said, they've been informed, and the way it sounds, you know, Friday, hopefully it'll continue. Because like I said, Friday was sounded like a good night, so.
And they were allowed food on the bus Friday?
No.
No, they were not.
But they didn't sneak it on either, so they were told
Kids
about
don't.
that, about not sneaking anything on.
Let's see.
hope they suffer consequences when they do.
My other question on football is, on the JV side of it, we had an incident there against the Atwood JV team, where they walked off the field with.
2 years in a row. That's not the first year it's happened. It happened last year also up there. And I guess I don't understand the whole thing. I mean, after the fact, because I saw their coach and their principal on Wednesday at a meeting, and they were apologizing for it. They said they overreacted, but it's been 2 years in a row they've overreacted. You know, I mean, they're big. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because their varsity's pretty successful the last 3 years and their JVs haven't been, and I think they are starting to see the writing that they're not gonna be very good in a few years. And so I don't know why they keep thinking that. They tried to say that one of our players dominated the varsity game on Friday night and was dominating the JV game on Monday night. And I mean, when they said the kid's name, I said, that kid's not gonna dominate anybody. Let alone their varsity that trumped is 47-0. I didn't agree with it at all. And I told Scott and Kyle and Vince that the way they're handling the JV and the varsity, I can defend that. I mean, if Atwood's administration calls me, I can defend us playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores. We've got 3 juniors that suit up. 2 of them have never played football in high school, and one of them is a Trombley boy that needs work. I mean, he just needs work at football. And so by playing freshmen, sophomores, and those 3 juniors, there's not a problem at all. And when other administrators hear that you're playing freshmen and sophomores, they're pretty much done with the conversation at that time.
Even though those freshmen and sophomores are also starting varsity?
Yep. And the problem, and the reason I think it's good is because here we've got, because losing's contagious. I mean, you can agree with that or not, but you got these freshmen and sophomores getting their heads kicked in on Friday. All of a sudden, they get that bad taste in their mouth. It's good for them to come back on Monday and win a ball game, because that's what you want. You want them to learn how to win, not just to keep losing. Because you can learn how to lose and you can just be a loser. You know, as a program or as a player or as a team. And that's something you don't want to see. And that's why I said I think those kids, they have to play on Friday night. They're getting to play on Monday night because that's where they should be playing. You know, when you've got that many freshmen and that many sophomores on your team, we got one senior playing, okay? So that takes away a lot of positions when you only have one upperclassman. And then we got a couple juniors that play, one of them's been hurt. So that thrusts quite a few of our freshmen and sophomores that have to play on Friday night.
I agree with you on wanting to win and not let losing become contagious. But I will take the other side of that, because there are about 8 kids that don't play at all.
On Monday night?
Yeah.
Every kid played Monday night.
Okay, then maybe they play a few plays.
Yes.
A few plays, and that's why I had a problem, because I heard what the coach said to him when he went out there. If you don't pull your starters, we're leaving. And he said, no, they're freshmen and sophomores, I'm not gonna pull them. There's 8 of them that hardly played, maybe 1 or 2 plays, maybe they're on the kickoff. Those kids didn't get to play because the game was over, you know? So I understand that those kids gotta learn to win, but we also have those other 8 kids that are going to every practice. They're doing just as much as everybody else. And you got kids playing a game and 3/4 a week, and other kids that are playing a 1/10 of a game a week. I mean,
I don't know the minutes. I don't watch every kid
you
go
look
in,
at
but.
Atwood, they had freshmen starting Friday night when they beat us. Their 2 backs were freshmen. They have more kids out for football than we do, and they brought 11 kids down here. I mean, you can say their program doesn't look like it's gonna be very good, but when you see who was playing Friday night,
Yeah, I agree.
they got a lot of good athletes still, so. I see where he was coming from. We were up 30 points, we still had the kids that started on Friday night on the field. He said, if you don't pull your starters, we're leaving, and he said, and Scott said, I could hear him, they're freshmen and sophomores, I'm not pulling them, so they left. And I just feel like those other kids, they're not gonna continue to, I have a kid that's a freshman, he talks to the other kids, they're not gonna continue to go out for football. They don't get to play. And that's my concern with it. Same thing as canceling the game last night, because that came from us, I understand.
Because it's a 9-man game. That 9-man game, they didn't want to play at the beginning anyway, and it was already scheduled.
Yeah, so we shouldn't have scheduled it because the kids were upset, you know?
Because they thought they were gonna play?
Yeah, you know, hey, they don't play on Friday night, there's a lot of them.
Why did we cancel that?
Because of some of the injuries. He's got 1 back left. He's got 1 running back. He's got a couple players in certain positions that.
See, and I agree, there's 8 kids, and I'm sure any of one of them would have said, I'll carry the ball, you know? And that's my only point.
Okay, but you're saying any one of those kids would have said, I'll carry the ball, but if that's not their position, you can't throw a kid that's never ran the ball in practice or in a game. You're gonna throw him out there in a game against Plainville in a 9-man game?
He's throwing them out there on Friday night one day.
Has to.
Right, but they've never practiced that position.
Well, I guess Gabe Hamel, he's been running back all year. Gage Hardig has played running back and end all year. I don't know what other player they put into. So I'm just,
Right.
and I was there and I saw those 2 running, the running back, and Derek was a quarterback.
No, I'm not talking at running back, I'm just talking in the different positions. I think Kathy probably knows the same thing I know. I just am worried about, as a program, you got 24 or 5 out?
Yeah, something like that.
To me, all those kids are out there trying.
Right.
They're all as important as everybody else. That's my concern with it.
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna agree with Stan. I strongly disagree with starting both varsity and junior varsity. I think you're taking away from the 8 bottom kids that.
All I heard was how far behind my child was last year and this year because he never got to play as a freshman and sophomore under Shank's program.
Because all the
cause and he was so
He
far
did the same
behind.
thing, yeah.
But then they threw him in a position he'd never played before, so yeah, he was behind because he never played that position before.
Yeah.
But,
I disagreed with it
I
when
mean,
Shank did it, and I disagree with it now, and
mhm.
See, the difference before was we were playing seniors and juniors and some sophomores on the JV. That was the problem that I had with it. Playing freshmen and sophomores, I mean, experience is good for them. I mean, I wish we,
it's
I
good
would,
for them,
I
but
wish
it's not
we
good for the
had,
8 that don't get to play.
well, I will get more information on that. I still think they played more than 1 or 2 plays. I mean, cause we talked about that. We talked about that, so. I mean, we had the Manel kid, I mean, he came in and played
He did
nose
pretty
guard
good.
and
Yeah,
he
did.
played a ton of
Yeah, he
plays.
Yeah, it's
And,
not, yeah, he did good.
Tate Buchholz, he played a lot of plays out on the, on linebacker position. I mean, those are just some that I would think would probably not be our best football players at this time. And I remember seeing them on the field quite a bit. I mean, now, like I said, I don't know the number of plays because I didn't count that, but, I mean, I can find out more information on that, but, so. But no, I mean, I understand kids need to play.
Well,
Because you want to
especially
keep
when,
them coming back.
That's what JV is
yeah,
for.
especially when
I mean,
you're up
that's-
by, because I think we're up by 30 in that.
Yeah, it
game.
was, I think it
With
50 to
7
14
minutes
or
left
something
in
like
the
that.
game.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, they should have been in there, so that's what I
Okay.
know.
That's always been an issue.
Well, I think they should certainly play, I don't know, it's hard to imagine JV and not getting to play, at least play.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you got too many on JV, I mean, you got your varsity 8. You know, if you got 20 more behind them, you know, then, yeah, maybe the next 12 out of that 20 aren't gonna get to play as much as the
Well, as
second
many
8,
as
but-
we've got going out as injuries, I wouldn't wanna put my varsity in on JV.
I wouldn't,
But,
Well, I'm not saying that Greg does it right in junior high, but I watch a lot of junior high, and when we get up big, or, 20, 30 points, he runs them in. If they score on us, well, he might run them back in and score again.
Mhm.
Make sure we're gonna win, but at least those kids get to play. And they're excited about that, that's why they're out.
yep.
Okay, any other,
we go, you go in
Comments?
executive session or not? Yep, okay.
okay. Executive session,
15 minutes.
okay.
I'll second.
All in favor? What?
Yeah, with Mr.
Thanks, Bob.
See y'all later. Have a good evening.
See ya.
Are we staying here, going in a room, or what? Got it.
Yeah, it's really
Makes you
interesting.
think, huh?
Yeah, it does. He's talking about Google searches right now, and
Oh,
And
that'd
how-
be scary.
yeah, they are a lot more than people think about. How much they can tell by a person.
They're just right on your shoulder, you know they are.
Yes, exactly.
Ugh.
Yep.
Ugh. You could let that stuff get into your head real easy and disrupt your mentality,
Yes.
your life.
Yes, that's true.
up my food out of the meeting room,
Oh.
so I don't,
Your brownies?
don't get my food taken away from the meeting room.
Take all
Oh,
of it.
we can pick up all our trash in there too?
Yeah.
If you're filling out, this is what Carl's thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Whichever one Carl's going for?
do we have any other items?
Meeting all kids' needs, Friday night party, Saturday walking lunch, school
Okay,
law.
we discuss parties after we get done with our meeting. Okay, if there's no other items, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Been moved, second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Do we need next,
Can,
what, next meeting we don't need to change, cause football will be.
yeah, go back to the regular.
Do we need to do a little council or a little committee?
Yeah, that's what he's asking.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
is that
all
what-
get with you, look at your
Okay.
calendars and we'll get together on what, and I would say just give it some thought about anyone in the community you might think would be good.
Do you, when we get together, do you wanna do mornings or evenings or what?
It doesn't matter, take your
Just wanna do
schedule and
whatever.
I'll make whatever work. Okay. Yes, that's it.
I'm gonna take this. Everybody left.
Or they're in, or whatever. They're here.
We're here.
I picked up my food out of the meeting room,
Oh.
so I don't,
Your brownies?
don't get my food taken away from the meeting room.
Take all
Oh,
of it.
we can pick up all our trash in there too?
Yeah.
If you're filling out, this is what Carl's thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
Whichever one Carl's going for?
do we have any other items?
Meeting all kids' needs, Friday night party, Saturday walking lunch, school
Okay,
law.
we discuss parties after we get done with our meeting. Okay, if there's no other items, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved, second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Do we need next,
Can,
what, next meeting we don't need to change, cause football will be.
yeah, go back to the regular.
Do we need to do a little council or a little committee?
Yeah, that's what he's asking.
Yeah,
Oh, is that
we'll all
what-
get with you, look at your
Okay.
calendars and we'll get together on what, and I would say just give it some thought about anyone in the community you might think would be good.
Do you, when we get together, do you wanna do mornings or evenings or what?
It doesn't matter, take your
Just wanna do
schedule and
whatever.
I'll make